Melbourne in springtime is an incredible place to be. They love their sport in this southern city almost as much as they love a party. The Melbourne Cup Week vibe is infectious, and it's all because of a horse race, chasing $6.2 million in prize money and the unofficial title of World Champion Stayer. Imagine sitting aboard a Melbourne Cup horse, waiting for the clock to tick to 3. And the gates crash.
As I welcome the two Simons and Francesca, don't you dare touch it. You've been so close before, you guys. How you going?
Oh, good. I mean, it wouldn't be Cup Day without a bit of drama, would it? It always is. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel a bit like a kind of detective trying to piece together all the bits of information coming from the various stables, trying to work out who's going to be the winner today. Everybody wants this so badly.
Yeah. There you go, eh?
So embarrassing. I'm going to ban anyone filming me while I'm watching a race.
So if you weren't watching Saturday, that race was first run in 1869. It's the McKinnon Stakes. It's worth $1 million. Far Lap's won it. All the greatest horses won it, but that's the most famous ever.
And can I just point out, Simon O'Donnell here also has a share in the horse. As do we know, we've seen her at the races, and we saw her win very impressively at Caulfield just over 3 weeks ago, beating Pearl Congenial and Valiano, who we've seen run really well since. So that's a very good form line. She was $26 that day. Bit less value today as she goes off favourite, but she's a worthy favourite. The straight's a bit of an unknown, but it is for a lot of these. And looking around the mounting yard, she's definitely the pick. She's nice and big and strong and looks gleaming in the coat. She's a beauty.
And what about this one with Ollie and Gay Waterhouse? They're combining with the offer today. Could they get away to a fast start?
Well, it's interesting you say, because 2-year-old Speed is clearly in the family, because her brother, Prompt Return, won the Maribyrnong Plate on Stakes Day last year, and he's also running today a bit later on in the card. Look, she won a trial in Sydney, beating 3 others of Gay's 2-year-olds, so she's obviously got a good measure on her 2-year-olds. Physically, she looks a little bit less developed than some of them, and maybe carrying a little bit of extra condition on her stomach. Very much so. People say to me, what, racing's big in Japan? And I say, yes, it's absolutely huge. They have huge purses as well, don't they?
Yeah, amazing. Frankie rode Alcacad. It was just amazing.
Yeah, and beat Heart's Cry, who is the sire of Penguin.
Yep. And who are you going for?
Well, I have gone with that form. I've gone with Trip to Paris on top, just because he ticks so many boxes, and he's such a lovely, calm horse as well. I think he's going to take everything in his stride. In second, I put Max Dynamite, just because Willie Mullins is such a legendary trainer, and I think he's got the horse spot on. And Red Caddo, they are so bullish about this horse, and you just can't leave him out of the placings.
Willie Mullins, of course, a genius with jumpers in Ireland, and here he is with this horse, and he's had runners before that have... Simonon was 4th.
Bullish the conditions and just was really strong. I wouldn't read too much into Trip to Paris and Big Orange, who failed that day, because the ground really was quite tacky. It was the same meeting that we saw Golden Horn being beaten by a 50-to-1 outsider, so I would take that in context.
James Cummings in these colours with Zazali on a day like today?
It certainly would, Bruce. Now, look, you can see as I'm walking next to her, she's not the biggest of horses, but don't worry, she's absolutely bred in the purple. Her mother is a half-sister to a horse called Zarkava, who was an absolute champion over in Europe. Now, she's been tending to get back in her races and then flying home. What I like today is that there's only 7 runners, small field, she's drawn 1. She should just have everything in her favour. That's why she's favourite.
5 Melbourne Cups have got a live chance today. What about Innishowen?
Yeah, it sure could. Now, what I have found interesting about this filly, looking through her form, is that she's only won twice from 21 starts. But those 2 wins have come, 1 at Geelong and 1 at Flemington. So I think she likes the big, open, galloping tracks. And a bit like Zazali, she tends to get quite far back and struggle for a room later on. So the small field's going to be a big key for her. If you don't want to go with a favourite, I go with her. And just to point of difference, she's wearing a visor.
Don't forget all the horses on racing.com in the mounting yard. Well, I'm sitting next to the owner of Renew, Francesca, and you're right alongside the horse that ran second in this race last year.
Yes, exactly. Second last year by a nose to Grand Marshal, who is indeed running in the Melbourne Cup today. Look, last year he had 57 kilos and he jumped from barrier 7. Today he's got 58.5 kilos and he's jumping from barrier 20. So that's going to make his task a little bit harder, but I know that Arch Alexander, his trainer, is really pleased with him, and he does love the distance and he loves Flemington.
4 carats bred, I think, to win a Melbourne Cup, don't you, with by Montage, and he's showing some good form.
Yes, he is indeed. He's had an interesting story. He was bred in Germany, but his 4 European starts came in France, and he was second in Longchamp in heavy ground at over 2,800 metres. So we know he likes the distance. And here in Australia, he's had 10 starts for 3 wins and gradually been building up in the distances. And I think after his impressive last start win, I think this distance and Flemington is really going to suit.
And Cheska, an interesting jockey on one for Lloyd Williams, eh?
Yes, exactly. So Colin O'Donoghue is riding Annus Mirabilis here, and Annus Mirabilis was trained by Aidan O'Brien over in Ireland. Funnily enough, Colin, you've actually never ridden him in a race, have you?
No, Francesca, no. We had him back home in Ballydole as a 2-year-old, so I know him from then, know the family quite good. So look, he had a good run last time, hopefully he'll step up again.
Well, his recent form is good, and there's $6.2 million in prize money up for grabs, but it's about so much more. It's become one of world racing's great conquests, and for many, the challenge is simply irresistible. Let's start with a redhead who's loved by all Australians. His name is Red Cadeau. He's 10 years old now and on his 5th trip to the Melbourne Cup. Can you believe he's finished second 3 times? This year, Red Cadeau's got a stable mate here. It's the Ed Dunlop train trip to Paris, 4,000 metres back in England. It's got to be a top chance. In the afternoons, Max Dynamite enjoys a lovely pick of grass here at Werribee. But in the mornings, he can be found with that amount of stamina. He's sure to be in the finish somewhere. The forgotten horse in the Melbourne Cup is Big Orange, who's been flying under the radar since his arrival here at Werribee, and he's bound to stay. So forget him at your peril. They're led by Fame Game, who absolutely rocketed home for 6th. Is it any wonder he's likely to start favourite? He's joined by Hocko Brave, who is possibly but don't worry, these are both outstanding 2-milers who've undergone a meticulous cup preparation. Feisty fellow Bondi Beach is named after one of the most famous strips of sand in Australia, and most importantly, being a Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old, he only carries 52.5 kilos. Be nice. Kingfisher, who's tucking into his dinner here, is also trained by master trainer Aidan. This guy should have beaten him in the Ascot Gold Cup, and he carries less weight than him in the Melbourne Cup, 53.5 kilos. Well, maybe Red Cadeau aside, nothing can prepare an international partygoers, sorry, should I say racegoers in the mounting yard is crucial to their performance.
That's a fabulous insight. Well done. And
it's a lot of fun.
Oh, and every horse is a different character, aren't they?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
It's really fun going down there and having cuddles with some of them and trying to be bitten by others.
Well, and Criterion didn't try to...
Can just get a bit of a dry mouth, really, like athletes and like all of us, I suppose. So there's just a little rubbery ball that holds some water, and they just squeeze it in just to give a bit of a freshen up.
I need that every now and then. Here's Richard.
We'll get you one.